Good morning, friends. It's such a beautiful day today. I'm showing you our new wood pile. um, now, I was going to show you my face, but I decided that I can't show you my face. I decided that you probably wanted to see this beautiful day much more. Um, yeah, because it's such a beautiful day. Um, yeah. What are you guys up to today? I'm super happy. We got our hot water heater fixed yesterday, and that is such an amazing thing, such a joy. We worked really hard on it. It took a lot to get it fixed, but it is fixed. Barring something should happen and something goes wrong, it's fixed. So, very thankful about that. And we have hot water. I got to take a shower last night, nice hot shower for the first time at home in a long time. And I have hot water in the bathroom sink when brushing your teeth. If you don't have hot water, you have to swish around with the cold water. You're like, ah. At least I am. But yeah, no, this is look at this beautiful day. It was so pretty much ugly yesterday. Yes, ugly. It was very overcast and rainy, and there was all kinds of weather conditions and issues that we all had to be aware of. But seriously, look at this beautiful day. Good night. Good night in the morning. Yeah, our water heater's fixed. I feel so glad. I feel satisfied. I feel accomplished. I feel like $1 million, I guess. Yeah, pretty much. I'm on my way out to DoorDash and make some money today. Hopefully. Pretty sure I will, though. But yeah, don't have very much gas, so it's very meat and potatoes. Matter of fact, we gotta get this done. You know what I'm saying? Don't drive through the water. And yeah, I made a little video yesterday, but I don't think I'm gonna upload it because it had kind of a crazy end. I was pulling into a parking spot. I had to back up and then pull into a parking spot, and my headphone cord got tangled up in my steering wheel, and it jerked the phone out of the holder, and it made it look all crazy, like I was having an accident or something. But yeah, no, everything's good, all is well. Such a beautiful day. Give me a break. It's gorgeous. Yeah, it's so amazing. And just look at this, and the sky up there is totally blue. Totally blue. So beautiful. So I hope you enjoy this nice view. I share it with you today. And yeah, we have got a lot of rain yesterday. A lot of rain, as you can see. With some crazy winds, some tree branches blew down. Nothing too crazy. It wasn't as bad as I expected. It wasn't. I was kind of expecting a really crazy time, but it wasn't that bad. Yeah. So this area off to the right here, I've had a lot of crazy dreams about in this field. And in my dreams, there have been houses there, and they were all on water. Like there was little canals and little lanes, but there's water all around. And I've really had some interesting / intense / crazy dreams lately. And they've been pretty cool. I'll tell you, they've been pretty cool. But yeah, just in general, I've had a lot of dreams lately, especially distinct dreams, the ones that you remember a lot of details from. And yeah, I don't think I'm really going to get into it today, but just a lot. I had one that was kind of near and dear to my heart this morning. I woke up early because I went to bed early, and I kept waking up, and I kept going back to sleep, and I didn't need to sleep was the problem. Needed to get up and start the day, but I just kept trying to go back to sleep. And I still woke up at about 7:30 maybe at the latest. But I had a dream that me and my family were all sitting in the living room grandparents, myself, my mom. My sister wasn't there, but my brother was there. And even our aunt, our old Aunt Tootsie, that was her nickname, who's passed on, even she was there. And it was very interesting. It was a very interesting dynamic. My grandmother said something about my grandfather. I call them my mom and Pop-Up. And so my mom says something about Pop-Up, and she's like, this, and about Pop-Up. And Pop-Up was kind of like left speechless, and I said, well, he's a free man. He can do what he wants. And there was an awkward silence, and she was like not really sure what to say. She was kind of skeptical looking, but she knew what I said was true, but she was just like trying to comprehend it. And I said, you're a free woman. You can do whatever you want to do. And then she apologized to Aunt Tootsie on behalf of me. She apologized that I was being argumentative, I think. She started to at least. And it was kind of funny. But then I said, we're all free. We're all free people. We're all free individuals to do whatever we want to do. And my brother was in the room, and me and my brother have not gotten along fairly recently. Yeah, not really. It's been pretty good. Like, it's hard because it's like walking on eggshells. You don't know when you're going to trip a tripwire and a bomb's going to go off. That's how it is with my brother, basically. And it is towards me too a little bit, because he can really get under my skin if I let him. But yeah, me and my brother just haven't been getting along very good for a little while, and we've kind of rehashed things out a bit. So we're definitely better now than we've been, but still, it's not quite resolved yet. You know, still like walking on eggshells. And you are witnessing the beautiful little town of Trapp, Maryland. Very little quaint town. It's a very small town. It's where my grandparents have lived for a long time. Where my mom grew up. I spent a lot of time growing up here. But anyway, in my dream, the point I'm trying to make is my brother was in my dream, and he was there when I was speaking freely. And usually he is so strongly opinionated that you never know when something you're going to say is going to butt up against his opinions, right? So he was kind of hanging on my mom, sitting next to her, and I was kind of hanging on her on the other side. And there's a roadside that was totally destroyed back there by the wind. And so it's just interesting. And I said, we're all free agents, basically. I said, we can all do whatever we want to do. And it's all right to do that. I said, it's just a matter, we're just supposed to try to get along. We're just supposed to try, we just have to try to get along. That's the whole thing. We just have to try to cooperate with one another. And it was such truth, and it was such like goodness. It was so good to hear. It was such a uniting statement for our family, who is not usually on the same page. We're all usually not on the same. We're in the same book. We're not on the same page. And so it was just a really interesting, beautiful moment. My brother didn't freak out. He didn't freak out any. He just kind of took it and listened. And I was still in the dream. It was still kind of like iffy. Like, I don't know. What's he going to say? Am I going to set him off? Am I going to ruin this vibe by what I've said? But it didn't, and I didn't. And it just kind of blew over. It was just kind of like everybody kind of like acknowledged it and didn't say anything, but everybody knew it was true, and it was just pretty cool. So yeah, I want to share that dream with you a little bit. The other dream I had the other night was about I dreamt that there was water all over the world where we were, like in the United States or wherever we were. Really high rainwater, like 5 feet deep, everywhere. And the only way people could get around was on boats. And we were going around by boats, like on the skiffs and stuff. It's pretty interesting. And there's a lot more that came with that dream too, but I think I'm going to leave that. I think I'm going to leave it in the past. not something I really want to get into too much. But, there were some really cool things I dreamed about regarding my brother that I'm remembering now that are really pretty cool. Because like I said, we have traditionally just not gotten along like that. And, oh yeah, in this dream last night, we were opening Christmas presents and stuff, or presents, and I got this big, like, Nerf bow and arrow, and it was like a machine gun bow and arrow. It had all these different darts that it shot, and all these different things. And I knew who it was for. I knew it was for me and my brother when we were opening it. Even though it was with my presence, and I opened it and I realized, and I looked at the tag and I realized my mom had made a mistake with what she wrote on the label or something, because it was supposed to be for me and my brother to share. And I just remember opening this awesome thing. I was like, man, this is awesome. And then my brother didn't have anything to open, and he was kind of like, where's my present? Like that, where he was waiting for his version of that. He was waiting for his, right? And he didn't know if he was going to get one. He didn't know if he had anything else. He was kind of sad. And so I, realizing that the present was for both of us, pretended that it was just for me so that I could surprise him and tell him that it was actually both of ours. And it's funny because in the dream, that part never came to fruition. We never got to that part in the dream. Not to say that I held it and kept it from him, but I just didn't get to reveal it like that to him, which is pretty cool. So it's a lot of really interesting things. I feel a lot of prophetic elements to the dreams. Like, it's going to be really interesting to see how things pan out, because I think a lot of the things in the dreams, besides the 5 feet of water, a lot of things in the dreams are going to really happen in real life, similar things. I think it was speaking to a lot of things that are actually going on right now, things that will start happening. That's just something I really want, is my family to get along and for us all to be on a better page. We used to be on such a good page. It was crazy times. I mean, me, my brother and sister, and my mom, and no stepdad, and each one of our dads is not in the picture. I'd see my dad on the weekends. My sister would never see her dad because he was a bad guy. He was a bad guy. And my brother would never see his dad because he passed away. So it was really sad, and we just kind of lived in our own world. But we had our grandparents too. So we lived with our mom and our grandparents. And it was tough because my mom really struggled being a single mom and going through different tragic marriages, divorces, ends, things like that. Really rough times. So it was really hard growing up. But we fought a lot. Me and my brother and sister, we all got in trouble. We fought a lot. We just really disagreed. One year we got our Christmas taken away from us to where we were allowed to open our presents Christmas morning, but we weren't allowed to play with anything or take anything out of the box because we had to be good for a whole day and then draw a name out of a bag. And if the name had our Christmas present on it, we got to open it and use it. And yeah, in other words, we were pretty bad. And I mean, it was just like, it's not that we were pretty bad. It was more so that, like, we had just not been listening, and my mom and grandparents were really trying to rein us in and get us to listen, and we just would not. We just kept pushing the envelope in one way or another, but it was hard not to. It was really hard not to. And I think it was basically destiny that it had to happen that way. Because there wasn't much we could have done. And so it was a rough time, but we grew up with some kind of connection to each other, me and my brother and sister. And then my mom found a man. She finally started dating again and met this guy. Started dating him, and he was, let's just call it what it is. He was an extreme oddball. He was really, really overweight. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but there are implicit problems with that. I mean, he wasn't, like, 300 pounds overweight. He was like 600 pounds overweight. He was like a huge whale. No offense to fat people, no offense, but he was just so huge, and it was like, what the heck, like, this is what my mom this is who our mom chose. Like, what the heck, what does this mean? What does this mean? That's what me and my brother and sister were all thinking, basically. What does this mean for us? What's gonna happen now? We didn't know. And soon this guy was living at home, and my mom and him got married, and it was just awkward. We were all becoming teenagers and growing up, and it was just awkward because this guy was so gargantuanly overweight and just a new person in our world and in our home and in our family. And we just had to kind of accept it. We didn't have any choice. We didn't have any say in the matter, really. And it didn't really go that great because it was awkward, and it made us have to, it kind of split us, I think, it pushed us away from home, I say, ultimately. And long story short, that was like 2007, 2024 right now. My mom and him just divorced last summer. Super fresh, and it's so crazy. That was 16 years. They were married for 16 years. And so what I'm trying to say full circle is that things are changing. The dynamic in our family is changing slowly but surely. This guy was a lowlife, basically. He always had something wrong with him. He always had some kind of issue. He always had some kind of reason why he couldn't work, or some reason why he couldn't pull his weight. And it was really rough. And he and my brother, I moved out. Me and my girlfriend and her parents moved west. Me and my girlfriend moved in together and got married. I lived in Reno for 6 years, so I was gone. My brother and sister were trying to grow up, both without a dad, but with this guy now, a stepdad. And I grew up with a dose of stepdads. I had one who was an abusive alcoholic who died, my brother's dad. Another who was just kind of like a lame, lukewarm, wishy-washy kind of a guy. And he ended up cheating on my mom, and that was that. That was the end of that, and she spiraled over the edge, and had to be institutionalized because of how angry she was and wanting to kill him and stuff like that. But so I grew up with those stepdads, and now I had a third stepdad, this guy, the big guy. And so it was just hard to take, but I had already lived my share of stepdads, and my brother and sister were really little when we had the other ones, so they had two, but not to the extent that I had. They just weren't really, they were kind of too little, I think, but super impressionable nonetheless. And so I was living in Reno from like 2009 to 2015, and so my brother and sister finished their growing up at home without me, and my sister got married and moved out, and that just left my brother and mom and stepdad at home. And my brother and stepdad butted heads and got into it. My brother was a little bit of a troublemaker. Like, I say that he was a troublemaker, but I think he just had the deck stacked against him. He just had a lot of things not in his favor, and he really did. I mean, he had a lot of things not in his favor growing up, and so he got in trouble quite often, and he struggled with that. So he had a reputation as a troublemaker, and he and my stepdad, they got into it, and they butted heads, and they would argue and stuff, and go to toe-to-toe where they were going to fight. And I wasn't there, and it's just how that went. So my brother ended up getting a really deep hatred for my stepdad, and my brother ended up moving out, getting not married, but unofficially married to a girl, having kids with her. getting their own place to live, and my brother would just never come around, and he would never come around because he always knew that my stepdad was there. He didn't want to see my stepdad. He didn't want to get into it, and he didn't like him. So my brother would avoid our home and not see my mom as much. So that was putting a wedge in between us. So long story short, the stepdad is gone, and our family dynamic switched and changed. And now we're really facing our problems head on. We're really working on things. We're really, trying to make things better. Me and my mom are living together at the family home, just me and her, and the dogs and cats. And she has the grandchildren over, my brother's kids and my sister's son, and she babysits them. And the stepdad's not in the picture, and as soon as he left, it was this huge weight relieved. I used to have this bad feeling when I'd drive home, and it would happen about 5 minutes away from home. And I remember that he was there, and it was like, oh. It was just rough. It was just really rough. He was a bully. Not all the time, but more than enough. More than enough. And he was a big, immovable weight. He was a big, immovable object. He was just someone that everyone had to deal with all the time. And I'm not saying these things because I hate the guy. I'm just describing the situation, just being honest. It was really hard. It was really hard living at home and it was really hard having him in our lives, because we all knew that things could have been better and should have been better with my mom, and things weren't because he was just not pulling his weight. He just wouldn't do it, whatever it was. He was lazy. He was really, really lazy. He was a wedding DJ. He had all this equipment that my mom helped him buy, and he treated it like crap. He didn't take care of it. He had boxes and boxes of wires all tangled up and knotted up. And I know it's hard to untangle knots, but whenever something was like that, he would never fix it or get it. He would never fix it. He would just buy a new one. And it was as if all of our money just grew on trees, and it didn't. And this was our grandparents' house. He and my mom were supposed to be paying the rent. She had a certain amount coming in every month, and he was supposed to be being the man and doing the rest of the work, and he never did. And it put a lot of stress on my grandparents, and it was so hard to see. And all of us kids that moved out and were, I moved back in at the right time, and I really think that if it wasn't for me moving back in, things wouldn't have gone the way they went. They wouldn't have. Because one time he was fighting with my mom, and I stood up and I said something. He didn't like it, and then he started coming after me. He literally snapped and came after me. Stood up to me and pushed me with his belly, got up in my face and tried to push me and say, like, cussed me out and all this stuff. He said he was gonna slit my throat. It was ridiculous. It was so stupid. I mean, it was like just really, sad and hard to believe that this man would actually get to a point like that. Long story short, you know what else he did? He called 911 on his own self. He called the cops on himself. It's like, that's what you get, buddy. That's right. You should call the cops on yourself because you were being a belligerent clown and insulted me, swore at me, threatened me. My mom had to stand up and try to get him away from me, and that was the only thing that would work. And it was just such a bad thing because it was a flashback, because we already been through a lot of domestic abuse. Growing up, my other stepdad, the one who was an alcoholic, was very abusive to my mom, abusive to me, and So it's like, oh great, here we are again. Now we're back into this shell-shocked war zone that we've still never recovered from. And it's all because of this guy. And he just has such a problem he can't fix. And refuses to fix, refuses to address, refuses to try to fix. And so he got kicked out of the house. We got a restraining order on him. And it's temporary. He ended up apologizing over himself and coming back. And then a year later, he starts ripping into the kids, into the grandkids, yelling at them for no good reason. No reason at all. And tormenting them, blasting the radio in the car at them, saying this is how it is and you're just going to suck it up and shut up and take it. And you know what I'm saying? Like, if you blast the radio at somebody, that's violence. Violence is a loose term used nowadays, but that is violence because it's hearing damage and it's intentional. It's an intentional attack. It was intentional. And my mom kind of started seeing 2020. She started realizing this dude is not good. And of course, he had brainwashed her for so long. He had told her so many things, brainwashed her, manipulated her emotionally and psychologically, manipulated her and blackmailed her and threatened her and said all these kinds of things to her. And being abused in the past, and being susceptible, she just took these things and accepted them, never thinking that her life could be better. Never thinking that her life could be better. And this was our situation. So she finally realized that this was not good and that he was a jerk and a mess. And she went downtown to the sheriff's in her nightgown late at night to get a restraining order on him and got him removed from the property. I went with her. We sat in the lane in the van. The cops pulled up. I went inside to show the cops where he was. He was in his room, in the bedroom, sleeping, because his whole thing was, I ain't leaving. You ain't getting me out of here. And it was also, first of all, this is our grandparents' property, house, everything in their name. They owned it all. And he was saying he was going to get restraining orders on us. That we weren't going to be allowed as we set foot on the property. Meanwhile, nothing's in his name. He doesn't own anything except the clothes on his back and his belongings. And he has lived in this house basically rent-free for 16 plus years. And he has the audacity to try to throw some kind of weight around with that. And I showed the cops where he was. They asked if he had any weapons. I was like, no, not really. Not at all. Doesn't have a gun. He's got knives, but I guarantee you they're in a box somewhere. And he gave me most of them, so... and they beat on that door. When the cops beat on that door, I was like, oh, shoot. And I left. I got out and I went out into the car and I sat with my mom. And I've been by her side ever since, basically. I'm trying to help her recover, basically, and get through this. And just be where I'm supposed to be with my family, in my family. And it's been really wonderful because so many things have gotten better and so many things have started to go in a different direction. And just fixing this water heater with my pop-up has been such a huge thing. Stress has been on my grandparents so hard for so long. And it still is, but it's not as much as it was. It's starting to lessen. And being able to work with Pop-Up and get the water heater fixed and basically do most of the work, no bragging, and prove to Pop-Up that I could do it. Prove to him and show him that I could do it and that I did it was such an awesome thing, such an awesome gift. And that's not why I did it, of course, but that was just a byproduct of getting it fixed. And it's so slowly, me and my mom are kind of transitioning the weight of the house and the debt and the bills and everything off of my grandparents, and we're taking it off of their shoulders little by little. I'm starting a job soon, and I'm going to be, doing everything that I can to really change things at home and really take that responsibility. And I can see that this house will be mine potentially one day. And that's not what it's about, but it's just like I said, another byproduct, another blessing or present from the whole situation. But yeah, with a stepdad in the picture, it was so rough, and it was literally such a weight we all dealt with every single day. It was literally like a fat weight. No offense, a fat weight that sat on us. One time I was talking to my mom about it, and I just told her, I was like, he basically showed up and sat on your chest. That's literally what he did the entire time. He sat on your chest. And, that was such a fitting metaphor, because that was so realistic and so descriptive, basically, of what he had done and what had happened with him in our lives. And it was so true. And he did love her, but he had severe problems that he refused to fix. And I mean, he had that belly band surgery. He had some kind of stomach surgery. He had multiple surgeries to lose weight, and he lost the weight because of the surgery, and then he gained it all back. And it was like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you love someone, so you accept them for who they are, and that's my mom. She loved him totally, completely. And that was just the battle all the time. Taking the trash out. Simple things, And it was just embarrassing. And where me and him started really butting heads was where I was more of a man, or being more of a man than he was. Getting stuff done the way it should. Taking care of things the way they should be getting taken care of. And it exposed, the problem was whenever I did what I was supposed to do, it exposed everything that he wasn't doing that he was supposed to do. And it got really frustrating for me. And I spoke out to him a couple times, and we butted heads a couple times. But the night that he started going in on my mom, and he was just acting like it was okay, I didn't like that. I said something to him. That was when he snapped, because he knew he was caught. He knew he was cornered. And he knew he had to face up to what he did and what he was doing. He didn't want to, so he freaked out. And so yeah, my mom got a 1-year restraining order on him. He's out of the house, and they're getting a divorce. She's never letting him back in, basically. And he's come and gotten his stuff, and he didn't even have, case in point, he had a truck that he could have put all of his belongings in. Did he get everything? Of course not. Of course not. He got just what he felt like getting, right? And so yeah, that was the other day. But yeah, it's just, it's been a time. It's been a time for sure. It's been a rough time, but things do get better. Things will get better. Things continue to get better. And I'm just really excited, because I'm getting to see things like my dream pointed out about us all being in peace and harmony, on the same page. It's a possible reality, and it's something that will come to fruition. I know it will. We're just all still getting over this trauma, basically, and over trauma we've endured through the years. My sister was abused. She's, trying to heal from that the best she knows how to. And yeah, it's just been crazy, but a lot of silver linings at the same time. And the most important part is that things are actually getting better, and it's not like they're going to get better and then they're going to get worse. I mean, we're going to have problems and challenges, but things are going to get better, and they're going to continue to improve, because I know that's how it works. I've seen it, I've witnessed it, and the main thing, and I don't want to sound disproportionate here, but one of the main things, and I'm not taking credit for it either, is because I joined the church, and I do have the Holy Spirit with me. We do have the Holy Spirit in our home. We have a worthy priest holder in our home. We have so many different things. We have the Spirit in our lives like never before. And it doesn't destroy, it builds. It doesn't hurt, it heals. And it is such an amazing, beautiful thing. I can't even scratch the surface of it. But I know things are getting better. I know things will continue to get better. And yeah, I never planned on sharing all this with you guys, but I'm just really thankful, I'm really thankful. I know that things are going in the right direction. And our house is in shambles. Like, there are so many things that need fixing and updating, and the yard's a mess, and the property's a mess, and there's all kinds of abandoned things everywhere. But you know what? We will get there. We will get there. And I am just super excited about the future each day, one day at a time. As long as you do what you're supposed to do, you keep on going, you do your best, that's all that matters. You will make a difference. Things will change. Because if you do your best, that's what happens. Things really do change. So, there you go. Keep it up. Whatever you're doing in your life, keep it up. Keep doing it. You'll get there. I know we're going to get there. And I say these things in the name of Jesus Christ, and I appreciate you listening.